Just few days ago, Ankr retested its previous all-time high but failed to break it. So the question is, are we going to see a new all-time high, and how is that going to happen? Stay till the end to know. So I'll start by analyzing the bigger structure to understand what kind of pattern we have here for Ankr. This will help us forecast the next moves going forward. This structure has started its upside movement in this cycle right in March of 2020, similar to the majority of the crypto pairs that we have. The initial move has ended at this point, and the second move has ended here, and the third wave of the structure has ended here, and the fourth wave has already ended at this point. Now, based on that, we can clearly say that this structure is a 5-wave structure, because all the structures in the market are categorized into either 3 waves or 5 waves. We can't have a 4-wave structure. And because of that, because we already have 4 complete waves in this structure, this means that we are going to get a 5th and the last wave of this structure. And this wave has already been in the making since the 3rd of October. So now the overall structure is going to look like this. This is the initial impulse of the structure. That's the first correction, and this is the second impulse. That's the second correction, and now we are on our way to make the 5th and the last impulse of the bigger structure. Now, while this may look to you as a normal 5-wave structure, I have to say it's different than the majority of the crypto pairs that we have because of its strong performance. And we can tell that by drawing the logarithmic trend line of this structure. So if we took the trend line of this uptrend, we can see that the price has been adhering to this trend line strictly without even attempting to break this trend line. Now, if you've been looking at other cryptocurrencies, you will see that almost all of them has managed to break below their trend lines in their long-term correction. However, this specific pair has been performing very strong because it has been rejected every time it came close to the trend line. So the initial time was here at the end of the first correction, and the second time was at the end of the second correction. Now, the other important point in this structure that it has managed to create 2 identical corrections, the first one and the second one, and I'll explain to you soon why. But this point is very important because it will help us understand what's the next move going forward after the second correction is complete. So if we start from the first correction, we can see that it has managed to create a 3 corrective wave structure that is in a contracting shape. So the initial one has started here, and this was the first wave, and this one was the second wave of the structure, and it has ended here exactly where the price has retested the trend line. If we move now to the second corrective structure, we can see that it has managed to create a similar pattern to what we had in the first correction. So the initial corrective wave has started here, pulled down, and then it printed the second wave, and the third wave has ended here, exactly similar to what we had in the first corrective pattern, because the end of the corrective structure was where the price managed to retest the trend line again, similar to what we had here. Now, these details are very simple and small details, but they are very important because they always can help you understand what's the next move going forward. Now, if we take a look at the pattern that the price is creating right now in the 5th and the last wave of the bigger structure, we will see how similar it is to what happened after the end of the first correction in this structure. Right after the initial correction was complete, the price has had an initial impulse and then pulled down to create a flag, and then went to retest the previous all-time high. And that's exactly what we're having right now. So the price has gone and then went to create a corrective flag and then went to retest the previous all-time high. Now, if we zoom in further to the first retest, we can see that the price was rejected when it first retested the previous all-time high. However, after one bearish candle, it has continued going up and then came back to retest this same level to turn it from resistance into support. Now, if we move forward and look at what's happening right now, we can see a lot of similarity here, because as soon as the price went to retest the previous all-time high, it was rejected. So if history is going to repeat itself, what should happen next is that at some point here we should end this rejection and start going in an upwards movement to break outside the previous all-time high. There is also another possibility here that suggests that we may see a pullback as soon as we break outside the previous all-time high to retest this previous resistance level, which turned into support, similar to what we had right at this point when we went up and came back to retest before continuing up further. But generally speaking, there's a lot of similarities between these two patterns, and this is the scenario that should play out next. Ideally speaking, we are not going to see the price go below this trend line here, because it has been acting as a strong support throughout the whole cycle since the price started trending up. Now the next important question is, how far are we going to see the price go up after we break the previous all-time high? Now in theory we do have two targets in here that we could be looking at. So once the price breaks the previous all-time high, the initial level that it could go to is going to be the 1.618 Fibonacci extension, and that stands at around 40 cents, which is over 300% growth from where we are right now. However, if we do get a strong momentum, and that's likely to happen because we had a similar strong momentum in the initial impulse of this cycle and on the second impulse as well. So the third impulse could replicate the same thing, especially that this pair, as I explained earlier, has a tendency to replicate its history. So if we end up going towards the 3.618 Fibonacci extension from this level here, so that's going to be around 82 cents, which is a little bit over 500% on this last wave and over 1000 times growth from the beginning of this cycle, which is considered a perfect performance in the crypto market. So please let me know your thoughts about Ankr and tell me what do you think in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video and you liked today's analysis, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, and also share the video if you think it's worth sharing. This was it for Ankr, and until next time, stay safe and see you later.